Hello and welcome back to the Tongue of the Trees channel. I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer. This is what is Petitgrain essential oil good for. Before we go any further, I want to say some thank yous. First of all, the biggest thank you goes to Petitgrain, not only for doing the first video, but for holding the fort for me. Well, life got a bit too much for me, to be honest. Having a daughter who is a paramedic, homeschooling, writing a book, doing the videos, it's all just been a bit much. So I had a break and Petitgrain backed me 100%, and for that I am so grateful. I'm also incredibly grateful to all of you who sent me lovely messages. Just a lot of you, I was amazed how many people noticed I was gone. So you were very kind to send messages, thank you. I am fine. I have had my 40 days, literally, funnily enough, 40 days since what I have come to know as the event, which is my brain just shutting down after so many downloads from the Melissa book. Too much to take in. I had to take some time to assimilate it, and I find it very strange to find that the day I am well enough to make a video is 40 days in the wilderness. What a strange shamanic truth. Anyway. We are coming back to the realm of Petitgrain, and I did have 6 bottles of different Petitgrains to talk to you about. I did make a video, in fact, but I just looked at it and thought I sound so mad I can't use that, so it was put on the back burner and taken off. And where I've put the Petitgrains, I have no idea, but I remember them well. You know me, once I assimilate the data off a plant, I can speak it. So that's what we're going to do. So first of all, to tell you a little bit about the main medicine of the plant, which is on the card as consciousness, isn't it? And I have found it to be the aromatic version of automatic writing. So one of the things that you learn as a Melissa priestess is dream work. And I found it very difficult to begin with because as a child, up to around about 9, I had another breakdown and I had to go and see a psychologist about a lot of things, but particularly the nightmares I was having. And she was lovely. I drew pictures. I don't think they were all black, but she taught me a very clever mechanism to close off my dreams. And over the years, clearly I've continued to use this mechanism and it's developed, and I hadn't even noticed until Dexter said something quite interesting to me. And one of the things that's been fascinating about the Melissa book is he has been my mirror all the way through lockdown. He has been bringing things from my dream work into my consciousness, and that's been executed through homeschooling. So first it began with learning about the suffragettes, then it went into the Greek myths, and obviously I was already studying Greek myths for the Melissa book. They are the Greek bee priestesses. So it was very strange. There was this interchange of work, dream, homeschool, work, dream, homeschool. And after a while, it was very strange. It was like the myths were narrating my life. Now, I have to say, one of the things that has happened since the 40 days thing is I've become okay with it narrating my life. Before, it was very strange, but it really has changed the way I think. So this narrating my life was fascinating. And I was telling Tex about this mechanism that I'd been taught by the psychologist to turn off my dreams. So she had taught me to turn the TV channel in my head. And it had been fantastic. I had learned to switch off my dreams that way. But when I said it to Dexter, I said, oh, you use a remote control to turn the telly over. And he went, why did you have a remote control if there were only 3 TV channels? And I thought, that's a very valid point. there's no way she taught me to use a remote control. What had happened was my own brain had developed it with the development of the TV. Very interesting. So when I came to do the Melissa Priestess training, I joined a dreaming hive, and we learned to mirror each other's dreams. And one of the things that I found very helpful to do that was to journal my dreams. And I found it fascinating actually to look back through my journal, because now I'm like, oh my goodness, I saw that 4 days before it happened. I saw that 3 days before it happened. That's a medical thing. And I can see the truth happening in front. It's very, very peculiar. So writing these things down, once I'd learned to switch them back on again, the dreams started to become deeper and deeper and deeper, and I learned to go into them and analyse them from an outside perspective. That is Melissa medicine. But one of the truths of being a woman is you can't always sit in bed and journal your dreams. You just can't do it. How can you do it? Sometimes, in fact, there was one dream that I said to Dex, I have to write this down. This is very important. This is absolutely, it happened about 4 days after the event. And I'd already made a promise actually that I was going to stop writing down my dreams because it was making me a little strange. And I said to the strong silent one, I've got to write this dream down. And I saw him go, right. So I said to Dex, you're going to have to school yourself for an hour. I'm going to do this. And he came upstairs and he said, it's been 2 hours and I was still writing. So there was a lot to go down. Now that time I prioritised the dream because I could see how important it was. But others I didn't. One of the things I found very interesting was it was gone. The dream was gone, lost. And you know how sometimes you can still feel it. You're like, that broke my dream, but I couldn't tell you what I was dreaming about. It became very useful to use Petitgrain to bring it back into the, well, I'm not going to say the physical body, into the mental body actually. So I could imagine it again. It brought it forward, which was fascinating. Now, one thing that I found intriguing was part of what the things that have to do for the Melissa book is to read symbolism all of the time. Join. My brain is that fast from it now. It's phenomenal. But there was one little thing that I couldn't get, and that was that orange blossom is sacred to Persephone. Now, I haven't even found the myth that explains why that is. There will be a myth that will explain it somewhere along the line. But I've stopped looking for it because I can already see how using the Petitgrains does what I need it to do. And I would suggest that when I get to the place where it becomes obvious what orange blossom will do, which is a neroli thing, isn't it? It's probably about the anxiety in the physical body interchange. But definitely Petitgrain is moving things from a spiritual body into consciousness, into your mind. So from an emotional point of view, that's very reassuring. And this is where we get the feeling of reassurance from. But interestingly, because it has this strange relationship with sleep, then we have a peculiar hybrid effect of the plant. So normally if something is sedative, then it makes us sleepy, doesn't it? So for example, chamomile is sedative but makes you sleepy. Lavender, sedative, makes you sleepy. Melissa to a certain extent, although that has a kind of biphasic effect, a bit like if you have some alcohol and you're all right, you're having a great time, and then suddenly you're really not. That's kind of the same with Melissa, and the science backs that up. Small amounts will make you sleepy, but you will still stay alert. You will still be able to retain information and remember it. With Petitgrain, we have a similar effect. We have that it is sedative, but it's also stimulating. Now, so what that meant was I was soothing my brain and bringing it forward into the physical body. But also I was saying to my body, I have more, please. I have more. And it's a very odd thing that you learn to do. And you'll get used to this now. You will never ever hear the last of the Melissa priestesses, ever, ever, ever. Because I have just learned so much of how... Do we say magic? I don't think I'm going to say magic. That's not what this is. This is about walking between the realms. And maybe we say through time and space, because there's certainly been an element of doing that while doing the Melissa book. But I would say more between the different realms. So between the animal realm, the plant realm. I can feel the metal and crystal realms waiting for me, but I'm saying to them, no, you stay where you are. I've got so much information to put down now. It's phenomenal. And let me tell you, the Melissa book is taking so long because I've got so much information that I'm sorting it into 6 books and maybe 7. So that's how much information I have just got from that one plant. It's extraordinary. So what I was accidentally doing was I was priming my brain all the time. I was going, right, I'm putting this down. It's reassuring me that I'm feeling stable. But also I was saying to the plants, I'll have some more, please. Or more specifically, I was saying it to the bees. Because you always work with the bee priestesses and the bees while you're doing that work. And it's very odd how they come as a consciousness. The hive is a consciousness. The hive mind is a consciousness. And they to bring information into your brain at night. The next morning I go, right, I know what I've got to do next. Very odd. Very odd indeed. I've always been able to do it to a certain extent. I think it was something I developed when I used the remote control, actually, because my brain still seemed to sort things out. But yeah, now... There's a myth actually about the beginnings of the Melissa, and it says that Melissa was the first bee priestess, that the goddess initiated her herself, and that everybody was so jealous of the information and wanted to know the secrets of Eleusis that eventually they tore her to pieces, tore off her head, and all that came out was bees. And I'm like, yeah. I get that. If anybody asks me, I'm just going to say it's about bees. Because you just won't understand otherwise. It is about bees. But it is about tapping into the next consciousness to us and relating to the plants, and that is a bee consciousness. So this is very exciting from the Petitgrain realm. What I also find is that I might actually put a link to the Mad Petitgrain video because it was fascinating. It was like a vlog actually of my mania. And it's like you have a conversation with yourself. Because as you breathe the Petitgrain and you're talking about your worries, what comes back is a mirror image. And it's like, but there's the argument to that. There's the argument to that. There's the argument to that. So Petitgrain is very good at doing a 3-way interchange of going, you're saying one thing, there's the opposite. Have you considered this? Have you considered this? And it is that stuff that's kind of not emotional body, not mental body, still in the spiritual body, or even further back in the cosmic realm that you haven't perceived yet. But Petitgrain brings it straight through very, very quickly. Very odd stuff. Very odd. And of course, what we can see then, and actually, let's just think about what we've said that from the, let's move it back into the plant realm. What's happening? What we're feeling is the medicine of the fruits. We know the medicine of the fruits really well. We know what the mandarin is like. You know, it's refined, it's dignified, it's cup of tea and raffles, you know, chitter, chitter, chatter. Likewise, we know that orange is optimism, or lime is, you know, zesty and having a bit of party. But the Petitgrain is the spirit of that plant before it's come into the physical body of the fruit, isn't it? Exactly the same. So what you'll find is you're talking to the tree consciousness rather than the fruit consciousness. So that is a big step back, but also it's a big step forward in terms of, I'm going to say, shamanic evolution. That's no shamanic development, but just your psychic development. You know, you're starting to not need that plant, that fruit. You can go way back. You can go way back. What came before? Well, before came the branches and the leaves, and this is the burgeoning, and it's not the physical body. It doesn't protect the physical body. When I came to do the recipes, I found a few recipes, but I pushed it, if I'm honest. When you look in the recipe, there are ways to use petitgrain in the physical body. Of course, beautiful for the skin. There's some elements of, you know, respiratory stuff, but really it's about consciousness, mental, emotional bodies. I had quite good fun actually when I was doing the recipes after I dreaded doing them. Actually, there's a funny story. You'll see when you look at the recipes in the hub, there's two very different feels to them. Some are quite sensible, and then others are just like, oh, I'm just going to travel the world in my brain, which is very much the way I live these days. And I'll talk about the places that I've gone when I've created them. If you go into the recipe hub, like the Temple of Eryx, which was the Temple of Venus. There's also Petitgrain, which is like a blend of Mayan and Aztec fragrances. Interesting. But I had completely forgotten the old stuff, which had just disappeared in my brain. And when I came to upload it, I was like, I've already done these. Funnily enough, I'd done 6. I did 4 and just thought, oh, we'll get away with 4. But no, put them together, we got 10. I didn't know that. My brain had sussed that for me. Very, very strange. So if you are struggling and you think something's happening, I don't understand it, I feel upset, but I can't be able to articulate why, then we go to the petitgrains. And what you need to do if you're getting very clever, which clearly Gag Lady did long before me, is start to understand, where do I want to go? This is something Jane Lawson actually elucidated well in the summit, that we don't necessarily want to talk about the problem that we have now. We want to be, where do I want to go? What do I want to achieve? So if we want to feel more positive, then we use an orange, but perhaps we can kind of just go there. But if we want to understand, why don't I feel positive? What have I got to remove to be able to feel more positive, which of course is a much longer term solution, then an orange petitgrain will be great. Likewise, if like me, you've been like, oh, I was lost in lockdown at the end, then using a lime petitgrain, I got that sizzle back, you know. It was great. I was like, whoa. And what was really funny was part of the thing that's brought the sizzle back happened in the external world. It's a narration happening outside again. Somebody's decided to get together a school reunion, because will be of a certain age in a few weeks' time. Half a century looms. And what was really strange was I'd got about, I don't know, probably got 10 friends from school on my Facebook. By the end of the weekend, I got back in touch with 70 people from school, just like, whoa. And the memories, goodness me, the memories. And using the oil, remembering who I was, you know, remembering that little girl, funnily seeing stories about me through other people's eyes. I was like, that person's gone, but I would like to reintegrate her. And it's done me so much good, so much good. And I do think that that is a petitgrain thing too, because don't forget, I hope Laurie Glenn watches this. Laurie works for the American Botanical Council, and she sent me a really interesting thing. And she said, why is everyone fascinated in using the oils for healing rather the shamanic thing than going forward in time? And I said, yeah, well, healing is a more marketable thing, really, isn't it? And it's easier to give evidence for. But she's right that when we're using those kind of mind projections, those changes in consciousness, that affects the future too, doesn't it? We bring stuff in. That's Monada medicine, you know, that we attract those people that we need around us. We sit in the sweat lodge, we think about what we need to get through this. We put the thought out there, and Monada goes, I'll go and find them, and he brings all the people needed to you that you need. So these are useful things to know, but weird. Very, very weird. And with that, I say W-Y-R-D. Weird. Weird sisters. So, to recap, emotionally reassuring, stabilising, calming, I think we probably, and sedative. Then we need to go into the mental body. The mental body is starting to understand, starting to get an insight into what's going on, become conscious of what strange things are happening. Here's a good one. A friend of mine emailed me and said, I'm having a bit of a tough time. My dad's had a heart attack and my sister's come back into my life. And boy, is she winding me up. And he was really seeing all the things that she was doing badly, and he helped me with this. And I said, well, if that were me, I'd be looking to say, what is it about her that is riling me, and can I think of a time when I have been that way? Looking in the shadow, and how did I feel about that? How awkward did I feel? How much is it triggering? And then about 3 weeks later, you've helped so much, you've healed so much. You're absolutely right. That's what was winding me up. I needed to go back and forgive myself for doing the same things that she's doing. And it's helped. And that's very much a Petitgrain thing of going, I just don't understand what's doing this. You know, when you sometimes meet somebody and you think, it's very rude to say I really don't like you. There seems to be no good reason for it. And being a little bit prejudicial, get the bottle of oil out. Brings it into the mental body. Ah, I remember when, or that reminds me of when, oh my goodness, I did something like that when I don't feel very good about that. Brings them back together. We're seeing that trigger all of the time. Petitgrain helps us to bring that back in. And like I say, what we'll have is also on the spiritual side. That's very much spiritual, isn't it? Working with your shadow. That's kind of high priestess stuff, really, that we start to understand. Know thyself is a Melissa term, you know, really know thyself, but also understand the darkness. So where we're going into that is fascinating. So that becomes a very spiritual thing. But like I say, we have this thing of, well, the universe is talking to me, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not hearing it. I'm not getting it. Those people that say, oh, this is my purpose in life and all of that crap. I don't feel it. I don't get it. Well, that might help you to do that. But in the same way, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. If we can go back in time, which we definitely can. Likewise, can we go forward in time? We can project it forward. So those dreams that we have, those things that we want to manifest, we can bring into manifestation. And funnily enough, what is that? That's orange blossom medicine. That's your neroli medicine. Very, very strange. Thank you, Persephone, for answering that question. I shall leave that alone. So, that is the emotional, mental and spiritual aspects of Petitgrain. I never thought I would say it, but it feels good to be back. Walking between the realms. In a minute, I'll come back and talk about the safety, but it's so easy. And then I will send us over to talk about blending. going to run through a quick layout for you to show you the different cards. Now, one of the things that we're not going to tell you in this video, in these videos, is the poem that goes with the cards. But for this layout, we will read them to you just so that you get a chance to sort of feel how the different poems look. So I thought I'd show you the cards. As you can see, lovely little box. I'll show you the other side. Boring stuff, except for cool stuff what I read. Okay, so if we open it up, we can see that the cards just have one logo on, and that is because these originally were Gergely's cards. He's been selling these for a long time in Hungary. Mostly they've been bought by kinesiologists, interestingly enough. They've been doing the energy work with them. They haven't got any aromatherapy background, but they've been able to tap into the energetics of the oils to be able to move emotional blockages. So let's show you. So these come out nice and easy because we've got beautiful little ribbons. And let's get rid of that. So if I said to the cards, what energy do I need? What oils will help me do the best job with these videos? Let's have a... Now, my friend Belinda used these the other day, and she does have a habit of shuffling them the wrong way. So we'll have to hope that they're all the way right up. I'm not doing a good job of keeping them that way. So let's have a look. What do I need to do a great job? So I think, it's up to you how you do it, but I think cut it 3 ways, cut it back. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So first 3 cards off the top. Cedarwood Virginian. I'll tell you why I'm laughing at that in a minute. Got rose and lavender. That's a beautiful blend, isn't it? Reason why I was laughing about a Cedarwood Virginian is when Gergely and I came to do the notes of all the different cards, we both went, oh, we've done these cards for Cedarwood Virginian and I don't really know how to explain them differently. And because I was doing lots of editing work, I went, oh, just leave it. So yesterday I did a meditation with Cedarwood Virginian and got the most beautiful, beautiful work out of it. So you must tap into that tomorrow, have a listen to that video and see it was really different stuff that came out. So let's have a look. So if we go to the book, we can see that there's a brown streak on cedarwood, and that tells us it's the woods. So we find the woods. Slowly but surely we find the woods. At the back. Okay, so I'm going to use the other cards just to cover up the other pages, because you know what? Sooner or later you're going to have to pay me for something. So, Cedarwood Virginian. Actually, I'll show you this, but I'll read it to you because I'm hoping that it doesn't turn back to front on you, but it may well do. So, Cedarwood Virginian says, hold strong. Don't be swayed by the winds of change around you. Stand tall. Resist the temptation to listen as the naysayers surround you. Keep focused on the job you have in hand. Remain strategic. Don't veer from tactics you've planned. Listen intently to information on the breeze. Remain determined. Your courage is what makes me pleased. Hold strong. Don't be swayed by the winds of change around you. Stand tall. Resist the temptation to listen as the naysayers surround you. Keep focused on the job you have in hand. Remain strategic. Don't veer from tactics you've planned. Listen intently to information on the breeze. Remain determined. Your courage is what makes me pleased. And I'd forgotten, I stopped halfway through because I'd forgotten this is the only one that went like around. It kept repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And that taps in beautifully to the determination, doesn't it? I'm keeping on reminding you. I'm keeping on reminding you. I'm keeping on reminding you. So, and actually, definitely watch the video on Cedarwood Virginian, because you'll see just how spooky that is when you see the meditation work I did. Now, you'll also see on here at the bottom of the page, there's the energetics. Now, we're not going to talk about these energetics at all in the video. You might want to go and buy our knowledge base. Now, the knowledge base is completely based on this, and it is a set of lessons on each of the aspects. So middle to base, you're going to hear about that today when Gergely does his blending, so that's there. It also vibrates on the throat chakra. So what does that mean? Within the knowledge base, there is a complete set of information about the different chakras. We do as a lecture on each different chakra, how it affects on the emotional body, how it affects the physical body, how it affects the mental and spiritual bodies, and how that's working. So when we're looking at the knowledge base, this information here describes how the energies move through the system. What energy shift has taken place that we are getting these different physical problems and mental issues. So we can see that cedarwood Virginian operates on the water element and the earth element. And again, in the knowledge base, there's a complete section about, we talk about the about half an hour about the water element, then again about half an hour for the earth element, metal, fire, and whatever the other one is, gone out of my head. And then here we can see Sagittarius. Now, so that tells us that what planetary rulership it comes under. This is medical astrology, and this is actually how I see the different energetics playing out. Some people see it through the Ayurvedic, some people see it through Chinese medicine. This is always the lens I see it through. And usually we'll talk about how it's ruled by the moon or the sun or Saturn and the different trends that we see out. And when we look at an archetype like that, it's like, Jade Shoots always says, it's like a metaphor, and that's a great analogy of how you can see the thread playing out right across the medicine. And so you can see that cedarwood Virginian is Sagittarius. So in the knowledge base, we talk about the different signs and planets and also the different houses. If I remember right, Angelica, for example, falls under the Pisces Aries cusp. So that's really quite a difficult one to understand. There's a whole lesson about the Pisces Aries cusp. And then again, Chinese medicine, it nourishes yin. What does that mean? What does it mean? It calms Shen. Shen is an interesting phenomenon all in its own right. It's the consciousness, our mental faculties, our imagination, our emotions, God with a small g, God with a big G, all of those aspects. Is a complete lesson about Shen and how the essential oils can affect it and change that to move the energy. And then we can see increases Pitta, reduces Vata, balances Kapha. So it's interesting, actually. I do know at the moment all of my oils tend to come out with earth energy. It's quite interesting hearing me do the earth energy lecture because it's entirely about the challenges I am facing at the moment. But if you are somebody who sells essential oils and you're looking for a way in all of the time, that right, you're talking to the person at the school gate, for example, and you can see, she seems a healthy girl, to be honest. She's loving her kids, she seems happy. Imagine somebody who's got a really sing-song voice all the time. Oh, my darling, how did you get on today? Was it lovely? I know. And then child walks off. How are you? To everybody. If that sing-song voice never quite relents, then you can imagine that there's an earth energy imbalance. So any oils that fall under earth energy are a good ones to sell. So yeah, if you are interested in learning more about that, ways in, just kind of being able to see, talking to somebody, what might be clues of what's going on of that energetic shift, then head over the knowledge base to have a look at that. So what was our next card? It was Rose, wasn't it? Queen of Roses, as you know. I do love my roses. Let's have a look. So the flowers, I think, are at the front of the book, if I remember rightly. Beautiful pink. Oh, they're both flowers, aren't they? So rose, rose, rose. Damask Rose. I was thinking we'd miss Rose out, but it's not under Duff for Rose. It's under, sorry, it's not Rough for Rose. It's Duff for Damask Rose. I remember writing this one, actually. This is quite sad. So it says, standing by your graveside or sobbing into your pillow, I know your pain. On the days when you feel lonely, worried or sad, I know your pain. Through the nights where sleep seems far away and you feel like you might break, amidst the anger, the confusion and desolation, I feel your pain. For I was there, remember, when you smelled the roses of their love as your fingertips stroked my petals and tried to avoid the prick of thorn. I felt your hopes, your fears, your joy of deep connection. I ensnared it in my scent to help conjure that affection. In my fragrance, remember hope. Let my aroma you complete. May scent of celebration heal you, calm you and help you sleep. For through me you are never alone, always loved and open to give and receive more. Smell me, open up and feel safe to feel love once more. Now I anticipate that these will be different for everybody, but that's entirely my dad talking to me. I feel quite choked up reading that, actually. When he died, he gave me a rose bush. My cousin works for a rose bush company, David Austin Roses. I'm sure you've heard of them. He's quite a senior manager there, and Dad arranged for a rose called Noble Anthony to be given to me and my sisters at the funeral. So I go and sit and talk to the rose bush. That's a great reminder that my dad's with me today. So that actually, Dad, that really helps. Thank you. So let's have a look at the energetics. We can see middle heart chakra, obviously. Water. Now, again, as I say, in the knowledge base, there is a much bigger lecture on water. But the energy of water is how it can flow around any obstacle and find a way to fill the space. So that's great. That's lovely. And Venus is obviously the planet of love, but there's lots more to do with beauty and and money, actually. There's an interesting lecture on Venus. I like talking about Venus. Balance is Vata, Pitta and Kapha. If you don't know, Vata is very drying, Pitta is hot and fiery and moist, and Kapha is sluggish. So it brings it all into alignment. But in the knowledge base, as I say, different lectures on each of those. So it nourishes the blood. Well, I've got funny blood, actually, so that's useful to know, Dad. Thank you. Yin and essence. So yin is the feminine aspect. It's very gentle and passive and receptive, and it harmonizes the heart and Shen. We just talked about Shen. So we're going to put all these in a blend in a minute. And so last but not least, the cards have told me that I should go for lavender, which I guess is probably just over the page. Still in the pinks, as you can see. Oh, I remember this one too. Cover them up, cover them up. Can you see? There we go. Lavender's blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green. When you breathe me, dilly dilly, softly you dream. Anger and grief, dilly dilly, softly drift by. Worries and hurts, dilly dilly, kiss them goodbye. When you feel tense, dilly dilly, look for the bees. See how they buzz, dilly dilly, resting with ease. Learn from their hum, dilly dilly, for they all know. Learning to rest, dilly dilly, helps you to grow. Breathe in the scent, dilly dilly, lavender's light. Calm your stressed mind, honey, honey, surrender the fight. Release cares and worries, dilly dilly, I help you to see. Life is so good, dilly dilly, just let it be. Okay, I'm going to let them flow, not force them. This helps, this really helps, you know. I've got to tell you, when I was helping Gerglade do this, he was sending me his notes, and every time they came across it, I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to do the cards. These are really hard. Didn't like my poems at all. Really found them difficult to do, and really, I just wanted to be writing my Melissa book, which I kind of still do, but I'm feeling a bit happier. Now I've got the cards in my hands and I can see them because they really help. Honestly, they really, really help. So, and of course I might be biased because it's my words talking back to me, but hearing the plants and seeing it written down, it's very, very helpful. So, actually I've probably skipped the most valuable part of the process for speed. But when you turn out your cards, if you have got the oils, I would sit and breathe the oil as you read the poem. And that's very difficult to do on this camera like this, but because then you will really hear, you'll have that connection with the plant. It will open it up to you. So top to middle note, as I say, Glay's going to talk to us about the blending. Water, we've just talked about how that finds ways, effortlessly finds gaps to do things, doesn't force it, just gets around any obstacle. Heart chakra again. Mercury, communication, data, information. Yeah, that's very mercurial medicine. We'll talk about that. I know there's a very interesting lecture about Mercury. I originally wrote the Mercury ropes for the pain practitioner program. And so these are quite detailed lectures, about half an hour long, the medical astrology ones, because of course that's my passion. Neutral to cool is the action. Yeah, cooling like the roses. Activates chi. Now again, we'll talk about chi in the knowledge base, but basically it's the life force. You know how we said we talked about Shen? Well, if Shen doesn't have adequate chi forcing it through, then it becomes disrupted. And I always think about it feeling like you're treading water. So the activation of chi calms Shen or nourishes Shen or raises Shen, depending on which essential oil it is. It aggravates Vata. So yes, this is one of my favourite nags. So the world tells you to put lavender essential oil into every massage oil, into your moisturiser, into your bath. So it aggravates Vata. People, it will dry you out. That is how you get dry skin. Aggravates Vata, makes you a bit vapid, a bit dreamy. So all of the time you're like, you know, like the dreamers that wander around on a cloud. If you're not careful, too much lavender makes you that. Pacifies kapha. So it stops you feeling sluggish, stops you feeling heavy. It's not really directly indicated for constipation, but that shift of energy through kapha would release not only constipation, but congestion in the sinuses. And pacifies pitta. Well, pitta is hot, so it's calming. It reduces inflammation. Anything that's red, hot, angry, it'll calm it down. So there we go. So first, I've got my smelly stick. And really, this is only because then I can stick it down my top and you won't be able to see it. So we could use aroma pendants, we could use massage oil, sniffy sticks, whatever. This is just what works for me, and that's the most important thing, that it's the thing that works for you. So cedarwood Virginian is a fast oil, if I remember rightly. So this is quite a thin distillation. Ooh. And then we'll mop up everything off the table. Dip it up, wipe it up. Oh, it's so beautiful, it's smoky. It's beautiful, and I can tell you the lecture is about tapping into your ancestral line, and given that my ancestral line is full of wizards and witches, that's very helpful. Lots of plant healers coming to my aid. So a bit of lavender. Warm the bottle. You'll notice I cover the thing. It's not because I'm covering the labels, although it's because I can't be bothered going, don't ask me which oils I use, but it's more because it's very cold in this shed, so things get stiff, especially myrrh. Goodness me, when we come to do the myrrh video, I have to warm it up 3 weeks before. And then beautiful rose, Look at the colour of that. Beautiful. It's my favourite bit, you know, was it waiting for it to come out, just seeing the colour. Have I got the nerve to let it drop? I have. Go on, mix, 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 blend. You know, whenever I try and do videos, I always want to have the image of oils mixing, and it nobody ever quite videos that effectively. I think it would be beautiful. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that is sheer heaven. Just beautiful. So yeah, if you obviously want to buy the cards, there's a link underneath that tells you where to get them from. But also, if you want to use the knowledge base, there's a link through to that too. And goodness me, when you start to smell that and you feel all the knowledge base opening up all the different shifts in the body and how they move and how they're executing through the physical body, it's really extraordinary. It's a whole new layer to plant medicine. So there we go. That is how to do the blending. Can't wait for you to watch Gergely talk about proper blending in a minute. I'm sorry I forgot to warn you about the spread. I really should. Well, what are we? I think we're 7 away from the end now, so you can tolerate it for a bit. Maybe Gergely will decide to do some more cards, or I'll do something different. I don't know. Then we'll have a different kind of spread. But for now, you're stuck with it. So safety then. Well, Petitgrain's as easy can be, really. Again, so a message or an idea. I was supposed to say to you, right, my dad would say, what do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? It's a stick. Sticks don't come back on you. Of course, that really doesn't work on every oil, but on this one it does. There's no way this one's going to come back and hit you on the back of the head. It's so benign, so benign. Maximum dilution 3%, but you know what? I don't think I would ever need to go more than 1 or 2% in a blend, unless you're using it with heavy oils, I guess. You know, what's loud that would go with it? I can't actually think of a loud oil that would go with it. For example, if you put it with peppermint, 2 shouts, as we know, that would just be disgusting. Oh no, vetiver would go beautifully, and that might overpower it. So you would use the smallest amount of vetiver. So then you might go up as much as 3% dilution, but it's to nose, isn't it? There isn't a safety aspect. Likewise, you could definitely use it on children. I would say the same rule as I always say. Anything under 3 months, under 6 months old, their skin is so tiny and delicate, and you know, it's not really formed the barrier to protect their liver. So you might decide to burn it in the background, and that would be beautiful. That's a lovely, gentle thing to do around a baby. But I can't think of a time or a reason that you would want to use Petitgrain on a child and not be able to think of anything else to use. Cats and dogs, can't see any reason why you wouldn't want them around them. Pregnancy, usual rules apply, not before 16 weeks. I can't think of any drug interactions. So, very straightforward. With that in mind, I am going to send you to hear Gergely talk about the blending, because Gergely and Petitgrains is a very good combination. So, see you on the other side.
Gergely, and this is my blending part in video 2 for Petitgrain. And as I promised in video 1, I'm going to talk about the aroma description of Petitgrain Z, because we are not talking about only Petitgrain, the bitter orange tree, the essential oil from the bitter orange tree leaves. And the keyword again, just reinforcing consciousness, and it really gives me a lot of consciousness, this essential oil, because I love to use it in aromatherapy and natural perfumery blends. So once again, a little touch base on the tree. It's also called bigarade, as well as extensively in perfumery. And it comes from also the other common name, like such as Seville orange. And then this essential oil comes from the citrus family, and the Latin name is Citrus aurantium, and the variation or the variant is Amara, which actually means bitter in Latin. The essential oil is actually made of steam distillation. So if I'm looking at the notes on blending, then I should definitely say that it has a top to middle, or in other words, they call it hard notes. And also the aroma description doesn't really include bitterness for me, but definitely gives freshness, definitely has some kind of like a sweet floral, a bit fruity. No wonder, this is a citrus tree that we are talking about. And definitely and very strongly green aroma. But it also has a slightly woody undertone, and it makes it like a round, very uplifting and at the same time relaxing aroma. What would I blend it well with? Well, first of all, it's because of the safety. You shouldn't worry about Petitgrain. It's a non-sensitizing, non-phototoxic, and non-irritant essential oil, although patch tests are always welcome and advised before you use any kind of essential oil topically on your skin. So let's look at what Petitgrain, like bitter orange Petitgrain or bigarade, would blend well with. First of all, most of the other citruses, because they come from the same family, so I would use like bergamot, or I would use like sweet orange or lemon, lime, mandarin, and list whatnot, all the other citrus essential oils. But it also goes well, extensively well, with some of the florals, like lavender and lavandin. You could use it with ylang ylang, geranium, neroli, and rose, or Petitgrain rose together. Wonderful combination. But it would also blend well with jasmine absolute. And some of the woodies like cypress, like sandalwood or Atlas cedarwood, or even cedarwood Virginian. And also with tree moss, any kind of tree moss. You could actually blend it with oak moss, but as we know, oak moss was sort of like outcast from the fragrance industry by the IFRA, the IFRA, because of allergic reactions or whatever. Poor oak moss, absolutely classic ingredient in natural perfumery. Anyways, so you could try other tree mosses. As far as I know, from 2021, I think they banned most of the tree mosses, but you might actually find some little niche in a little bypass. But it blends well, so if you have it at home, you can use it for yourself, not industrially or selling products, but for yourself, for playing, you could use tree moss. Also, you could use some of the resins, like frankincense. You could try it with myrrh, but frankincense goes better than myrrh. Then also cypress, for example. Then you could use Petitgrain with patchouli, and then also goes well with benzoin. Some of the herbals like rosemary, clary sage, or even mandarin. You could try mandarin, interesting combination. And some of the spices like cloves, perhaps basil, maybe the linalool type, And also try it with some of the aldehyde containing oils like lemon eucalyptus. Also, if you can try lemon eucalyptus. If you use lemon eucalyptus, then you could use lemongrass, and then as well as you could use like Mei Chang or Litsea cubiba in another name. But if that, then you could also use, because of the aroma profile, maybe you could try it with Palmarosa. That gives you like a big pool of oils that you can play around in mandarin. Now let's look at the other petitgrains that we were talking about. So let's look at Kombava, and I've got my notes. So if I want to sort of like make a comparison to bitter orange petitgrain, then I could also say that Kombava is also fresh, definitely it's a fresh essential oil. And definitely not only green, but kind of leafy. So it's like a green leafy combination. And it has that some sort of like a dryness as opposed to petitgrain, the bitter orange petitgrain. And it has also that kind of like citrus tart combination in the aroma. And also some kind of like a warm radiant. I like this word combination, warm radiant. Just like a different category for me. And a little bit earthy, let's say. Yeah, that just gives you an idea that how different they are. All right. What would I blend it well with? It's the Kombava petitgrain, right? So other petitgrains, definitely, like, and especially with bitter orange petitgrain. Then I would also use some of the aldehydes like lemongrass, also some of the other like lemon eucalyptus, or also eucalyptus tigeriana you could try with Kombava petitgrain, and also with bergamot. You could use it with lavender. You could use it great with the firs. There's lots of oils, right? So, some of the firs, right? There's like at least 4 or 5 firs that you could list and find in different shops of essential oils, and some of the woodies like sandalwood, Atlas cedarwood, or cedarwood Virginian, or maybe with frankincense, and some of the florals maybe like geranium and rose, definitely. Now let's hop on to the next one, and this is bergamot petitgrain. And the bergamot petitgrain aroma description, I would also call it fresh. I would also call it green, dry, and definitely citrusy. Definitely citrusy. It's got that the similar zest or similar bite, a little bit spicy, like bergamot essential oil itself. But the great news, there's no worry about safety on that. You can use it. It's not phototoxic. It's also a little bit smoky. Not so much, but more spicy than smoky. Then let's hop to lemon petitgrain. Lemon petitgrain, similar to mandarin petitgrain, is a little bit smoky, very uplifting, very fresh and green, and also dry, like as Kombava petitgrain, and also has that citrusy tartness. Blending, similar petitgrains, all petitgrains you could use it with, and also all with the aldehyde oils like lemongrass, eucalyptus, citriodora, or Stargeriana, bergamot. Same with the firs, maybe the same with the woodies, like, and also all the cedars like cedarwood, Atlas cedarwood, or cedarwood Virginian. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And finally, mandarin petitgrain, because it has that fresh and resembling of mandarins very much, especially the green mandarin essential oil. So if you remember my mandarin video or blending part from that video, I said that the difference between the green and yellow mandarin essential oils is that the green mandarin essential oil is actually extracted from the not unripe green mandarin. So it comes from the same fruits, but at a different stage of ripening. So the green mandarin, when they are small and green, very fresh, very, very green, very smoky, very citrus tart. And I would use, with mandarin petitgrain, I would use all the other citruses, and especially with, it goes well with mandarin itself, but you wouldn't use mandarin, but you would use more like sweet orange. Actually, there is also a sweet orange petitgrain, but it is really, really rare, very rare. I put my hands on sweet orange petitgrain once I got it in about 10 years that I'd been working with fragrant herbs, and they have their specialty oils. And then once I got the sweet orange petitgrain, extremely rare, extremely rare. People don't bother distilling that oil, but it's great for natural perfumery. So, what did I say? Oh, mandarin petitgrain, it goes well with the bitter orange petitgrain, especially with lavender and lavandin, sandalwood, cedars, and also with patchouli. Great with patchouli and ylang ylang. So if you like this video and the other videos, then come back and watch the other videos and check out the recipe hub, because we will have great recipes on petitgrains as I started this video. So not only bitter orange petitgrain, but all the other ones as well. So until next time, I always come with my motto, which is happy blending. I'll see you next time, folks.
Normally I would say something like, isn't he great? And actually have not really listened to what he's done, because I don't usually listen until we get to the edits, but this time I did listen because I needed to learn. He's so fab, he's so fab. And I have to say, I'm very grateful to him and to Fragrant Earth for my petitgrain oils, because I am quite the fan now, quite the fan. So I would encourage you to go and buy some of the petitgrains from Fragrant Earth. If you haven't got your cards, very useful things to have, especially if you draw a petitgrain and a fruit oil, then it even tells you what kind of petitgrain to use, but that's very technical, isn't it? So I would say to you now, get yourself some cards. Obviously, I need some money in the bank. I haven't been working hard enough. Definitely get the knowledge base. The knowledge base, really, while I've been doing this Melissa work, I've been realising just how valuable an asset that is to have, to understand all of those different layers of medicine. Really, really helpful. If you haven't seen it, the cards are available from Fragrant Earth, from me on Amazon in England. Also in America, Jade Shoots has some of the cards, so you can get them from the School of Aromatic Medicine. The knowledge base is an optional extra that goes with it. It's kind of the next layer of learning, if you like. And you can buy that. It's a digital package, £45. But you have the fantastic, I think there are 45 videos in there with really deep learning about not just medical astrology, but obviously that's what I teach, but also the Ayurvedic, the TCM, and chakras. Chakras is really interesting work, and Gergely's done an in-depth video about blending for perfumery as well. So useful. So I would definitely say get them, and of course get the recipe hub, folks, if you're interested in learning more about blending, just ordinary stuff for yourself, and you think, I have these oils, I use the same flipping recipes every time, which is what I used to do. You know, I only used to use about 20 oils really, my little clique. So going outside of those and learning new combinations has been fascinating. So yeah, come and have a look at the recipe hub too. And again, I just want to say thank you for being here, But thank you for all the support that you've given me all through my career, but particularly in these few weeks where I have not been in a good place. It's very nice to be back.
You get your phone, you turn it this way up, and then there's a little red subscribe button. Turn it grey by clicking it, and then there's a little bell. Click that and press all at the bottom of your phone or tablet or computer. It will say you will receive all notifications, and then there's a little hand with a thumbs up. Click that, it'll turn it blue and it says added to your liked videos, and there will be comments, and if you want to you can send a comment and say like hi's to Mum and Gergely, and then the link to the next video will be in the description below underneath the video. So bye.